Welcome back to Factorio MSX Gigabase. So I haven't really played any time at all between the last episode. I've just jumped on board the engineering train, left the new efficiency module stack, and I am heading down to Copper 7, where we are going to implement what I was discussing a couple of episodes ago about oil, and seeing if we can pull back a little bit of the UPS we may have lost when we when we added in the efficiency module piece. The other thing that I've done is I'm actually running on multiplayer mode at the moment, which didn't seem to affect UPS. Since starting to record, it's dropped from about 34 to 32.7 or 8, so we've kind of lost about 1.4 or so to record it, but that's kind of to be expected, I guess. What I'm going to do is I'm going to redirect the oil from these stations up to the oil here, which is oil 9, and oil 9 is pretty much permanently full except those brief moments where a oil train pulls in. Now that is probably, so we're going from here, it is probably a well, it's probably not actually. It's a long way over here anyway. I was going to say it's probably a longer distance to get all the way over here, but it's probably not. So, oil 9 it was. Let's add in oil 9 then. Oil 9. Until inventory full, which should be the same as that. Let's get rid of oil 2. So there's now nothing coming in here. Let's do the same for oil 1. Oil 3 actually. Oil 3 is actually on its way to oil 3, so we need to catch it now, send it to oil 9. Oil 9 until inventory full, delete oil 3. Shouldn't make any difference to this part of its journey. And now yeah, now we can rip this out. Doesn't really matter that we're throwing away a whole bunch of oil here. Doesn't really matter at all. Got my bots installed, that's all we need. Let's just get rid of this infrastructure. I don't know if this will save us that much, but we have added in a bunch of stuff that is definitely not saving us. So taking out a bit is definitely desirable. So for now I will just change over those chain signals. Now if you're wondering why I changed this to like a multiplayer mode, it's so that when we go in here it keeps going. I realized, especially after last episode, we spent a little bit of time discussing tech options, and if I'm doing that I want the tech to keep ticking over in the background. I don't want it to stop, and the whole game to basically pause, which is what I think happens when you are on single player mode. So over here we now have no trains. I mean, these things are pretty full on the whole, so yeah, we don't need it. Now currently at our Facility Oil 9, there's no speed modules or beacons or any of that stuff usually associated with oil. If it seems like we might need it, I'll certainly add them in. We're not doing this to save power, we're doing this as a UPS save and also a bit of a congestion save, because we're sending less trains through the congested part of the factory. So that's the idea there. We are about to complete the second SpaceX research. Which is good. It's always good. But, I mean, realistically, these researches are really quite cheap. It's really only the FTL drive that, you know, really hurts. Well, it doesn't hurt, but, you know, it gives a decent challenge to a decent Gigabase. So, oh, look, for now we can probably get rid of a bit of this stuff as well. Oops. It's kind of hard to do that, so let's not bother. Now, do I need the supply chest? Quite possibly not. I certainly don't need all of these pipes. I don't need these tanks. I don't know where I got those logistic robots from, but they can go away. I don't need those. I don't need oil pump jacks. Probably don't need pumps either. Although, actually, I might keep them. I might keep some of them. You never know. So, that's 2 down. Where else can we usefully, I mean, this oil here, we redirected it to be more effective, and it's probably now the closest supply. But it's not a very good one, and it does involve forcing oil trains down this way. And I'm not really sure that I want them to go down there. Here's a train filling up. It looks like it's pretty close to full. These guys are running fairly quickly. $500,000. But yeah, the drain from the end ones is pretty slow. It might be worth putting another one in. We do actually have a train lined up here now. So we are slowing down a bit. Remember, I am running the mod that restored the capacity of these trains to what it was pre the nerf, pre the tank nerf. So there's 75,000 litres in each tank, which is why we've got 600,000 litres. Space construction is finished. Okay, so I think the one I wanted to do next was fuel cells. which is just another 192,000. This will hit yellow science, but it will give a huge break to the steel usage. So that's gone now. And already these are basically capped. The contents of these tanks in that short time. Oh, there's a few at this end that are a little bit light. They're taking a little bit longer to fill up. Yeah, there's a bit of a waiting down this end, I guess. Still, we don't have another one lined up, or even on its way, so maybe not such a big deal. But the other, so we've got trains over here, and we've got these two, so that's a decent one. This one combined is kind of decent. I think this is a reasonable one. It's sort of 10 plus 16. In fact, it's a very good one. But it's out of the way, and it involves trains exiting this area to get to it, past the relative congestion, I suppose, of this green circuit production, which actually probably should have a green circuit icon. Not that you can see it all that well, but never mind. So oil 6 could be redirected to oil 4 perhaps. Oh, there's actually two trains that go to oil 6. How many have we got at oil 5? We've just got one, and at oil 4 we've just got one. So maybe one each to oil 4 and oil 5. I'd be surprised if they can't cope. No, that's my engineering train. It's really only one. So you can go to oil 4. Instead of oil 6, go to oil 4. And if I get in quickly, it won't even come back to oil 6. Oil 4 until inventory full, get rid of that one, and it should swap seamlessly to oil 4, and we can get rid of oil 6. If I head to GC external, hashtag GC external, that should be fine. I don't know if this has improved a whole lot because of ripping these out, but it certainly hasn't gone the other way. I only have 3 oil trains serving that bottom oil processing stack, so maybe they all could just go to 1. Again, it's something to monitor. In fact, speaking of monitoring, let's see how well, it's sent that one on its way. Even this end is getting close to full, and all of these ones down here are full. So it seems to be coping just fine. Which probably means that we definitely can close down oil 1 as well. I do have plans for this connection. I may as well reuse it for something else, so even if we take oil 1 out, I don't necessarily take out the whole thing. We can build something else down here. I don't have a design or plan just yet, but obviously there are a bunch of things that we need to look at. Let's just have a look at how science is doing. Those are more or less at 12k. For some reason, consumption of yellow is jumping around quite a lot. 5.9. 6 with the blue. Yellow 5.9. I'd like to see yellow hit. There you go, yellow hitting 6. Maybe once we've given it a bit of time, it will be up towards 10. That probably means that steel is going to get the opportunity to slow down a bit. Not that it matters. Let's go over here to this oil. Be good to not have the competition with whoop. Yeah. Not have the competition. I've already removed the train, yes, because that's my engineering train that at one point I added sort of this oil to its collection. If we get rid of that, then this will show really? Did I have oil 6 in there twice? It's possible, yes. Now what? Yeah, no trains. Alright. And all these pump jacks doing absolutely nothing. I mean, it doesn't take that long to put them all back in if it makes sense, but for now, let's just simplify. Especially given that liquid handling is perhaps one of those areas that Factorio is notoriously weak. Well, relative to how good it is with everything else would probably be a better way of looking at it. It's really awesome with the optimizations they've done elsewhere, but they haven't really done it with the fluid handling in quite the same way. So, removing a few of the oil stops should help. So green circuits are probably getting a fair run at the moment, basically 300,000, 310, there you go, it's ramping up a bit. Look at it over a minute, that's actually very low, so that must be ramping up. We're still building steel at 53,000 a minute. Iron at 500,000 a minute. That's fairly unusual to see that in most playthroughs. That's why we are ticking through the well, 100 millions fairly quickly. Almost up to 300 million advanced circuits. I guess it's even on the cards that we'll get up to 1 billion red circuits. It's kind of ridiculous, but it might happen. Oh dear, oh dear. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I guess, is head up here. We don't really have any, the oil train's pulling in. Well, that's okay. I'll let it come in. Probably take its last load. As you can see, none of these are working at all, which is why it's kind of pointless having it. There's 330% productivity bonus is all we've got on this, but it's clearly enough to keep this completely full. I doubt this will have any trouble at all filling up to full. There you go. Pump jacks have all started up. And we are actually getting some empties and slowing a little bit, but it's almost up to 500,000 content. So, yeah, these ones at the end, it takes a while to sort of flow into the middle. But kind of pointless. I don't think I have an oil train. There's certainly no oil trains banked up. These have basically stopped because everything here is full. so there's no reason it couldn't be using that one. What's it? Oh, where are we? Down too far. Here it is, oil 1. So it was my first. Well, I think I may have called my other stop something different. I needed actually a whole lot of coal. What do they call it? Coal. This one's about to be full. Should be in here somewhere. Coal liquefaction. I ended up using a whole lot of that in the starter base. So you can go to oil 9 now in the future. Why not? And we will go to oil 1. To do a bit of a cleanup job. I must have had something in my dump pile. Oh, yeah, of course, because I'm auto-trashing some of these things. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure if this is picked up or not, but probably has. I think it was 32.7 or something when we started up. Now what we've sort of got maybe half a UPS back. It's worth it. Even just half a UPS. I think we are still doing launches. What are we at? 42,000 and 45,000. That's 87,000. I think when the combined get to 96, this will stop. So we are getting close to our final launch for a little bit. Although I am thinking that I will probably... Well, let's watch a few launches because it's kind of cool. Especially when you get a whole bunch of them going at once. I think there's still shortages of the low density structures. We've just had some pull in there. You're not missing anything, we're still travelling to our destination. And this time you're getting to see 8 launches, which it's got to be way more exciting, doesn't it? There you go, 8 of them. Alright, so let's talk about the tech options for a little bit. I think what we will be doing is, once we have completed this one, I'm going to do this one, which is the most expensive of these, by expensive in terms of the number of different pots that it needs. It's the only one of these collection that needs space science, and 448, that's a reasonable amount. We'll knock that one over, just because it will well, we would have resuscitated probably our steel by then, so we may as well. And I'd rather get it out of the way than have it kind of hanging over our head. Now let's just stop there and see if we can just back out of that little area. And we'll get rid of this oil as well, which should have nothing but my train. Yeah, my train. And these things are already doing nothing, so again it goes to show you that we don't really need them and probably haven't for quite a while. So, clearing up this, oh, pump jacks, auto trash, pump jacks, we don't need any. Yeah, clearing up this particular spot here perhaps gives us a decent location to build some components. And in particular, what I'm thinking is, well, let's have a look here. So we've unlocked these assembly robots now, and while it might be a little while before I actually want to start doing them, they take a lot longer to get done than well, it's actually this component, but it's because of these robots that this takes so long. In particular, this one is much easier to knock off. So it's 3,200 low-density structures, and we need 250 of them. But last time I tried this exercise, I completed this one way sooner than this one. I'd done 2 or 3 of these in the time I'd done all 250 of those. So I'd probably like to get a bit of a jump on this one by setting up a facility for it. And what that's going to entail, well, we won't want to be doing launches while we are trying to build this. And for that matter, for the other one as well, we won't want to be doing launches because if we're going to divert that much low-density structures to its construction, it kind of would make the launches themselves rather difficult and challenging. So I want to get the facility up and running, but not necessarily not necessarily start doing them. I mean, this one, well, this one needs the robot, so I want to build the robot facility first, but we're not actually going to start building robots until we have the efficiency modules running. And when I'm doing launches, I probably won't want to get the efficiency modules started, which is why I haven't started them yet. And it's, if I do this tech option next, which is more expensive than the current one we're doing by a little bit. It's only a little bit more expensive. It's a 384, right? So that's the same as. No, this is. No, that's this one that we're currently doing, right? That's a cheap one. That one was a bit more expensive, so it's slightly more expensive than that bit more expensive one, the Astrometrics. I probably want to knock it out of the way so it's not sort of hanging over us when we start doing the modules, because the efficiency modules and launching stuff, because as discussed, it's kind of it's too much for the factory to do at once, basically. So we want to have the factory do something it can manage. So, I don't know exactly how to build this, so we probably won't actually build it this episode. We'll just do a bit of the design work. If we're going to build robots, we need to be able to build those construction robots very fast. I think they are in fact the biggest hurdle. So we're making plenty of these electric engine units currently. We're using them all in science, of course, purple science, but we could use their production capability to build these flying robot frames. And given that purple needs 1, but we're getting 40% production boost on that, and it makes 2, and we need 6,000 per minute. We must be producing 3,000 divided by 1.4. We must be producing sort of 2,100, just over 2,100 electric engine units per minute to support purple science. Consequently, we could put all of that into flying robot frames. Would we be producing enough batteries? I think that we would actually. What else do we use batteries in? Oh, they're used there. So maybe we're not actually. Maybe batteries would be an issue. Let me just pop over to here. So all these chem plants are our batteries. I'll just get a count. 72. Sped up a lot. What is the battery time? There they are. 5 seconds. So each one will do 12 a minute. 12 times 5.6875 times 1.4 times 72. It looks like we can actually do about 6,800 batteries per minute. So we'd support the 4,200 that we need for 2,100 flying robot frames a minute. The green circuit shouldn't be an issue. So yeah, I guess that's what we should try and aim for. $2,100 flying robot frames per minute. We could probably have sort of 3 inputs to it. Steel and electric engines can probably share, and batteries and electronic circuits can have their own, and the flying robot frames perhaps can be extracted directly, or if we're just building construction robots out of that, that just means we need more electronic circuits instead of... Well, we might have to have a whole train of electronic circuits every minute or something. But yeah, we could probably build the whole lot in one complex. The other thing is, what are we getting? We're getting 20. It needs 20 seconds per, so each machine is 3. Now it depends on what we do with that machine. 3 flying robot frames per minute. I think I've thrown away all of the stuff that I need. Alright, well I might have to go back to our test area, our design area, to work out the specifics of this design. Let's go to engineering unload, that will be fine. Oil 1. Yeah, oil 1 doesn't really exist anymore. I guess I'll delete that. I should really have put another stop in here to be able to bring myself back to it, but I didn't, so never mind. But yeah, if we want... So that's basically 3 per minute would be 700 machines. 700 machines, but it'll be divided by 1.4, I think, which is 500, and then we'll divide it by whatever factor we use, whether we do a full surround or just the top and bottom kind of surround with beacons to achieve the sort of numbers that we need. It might be a little bit challenging to get enough of the robot frames if we do a full surround, well, in one build, but I guess we could make it 2 builds. No particular reason why we couldn't. I probably do want to make this as efficient as possible. So I guess we'll see in just a moment what we can do. I'm not exactly sure how long I've dragged out this episode, but let's get, say, take... Oh, that means that we should have some, right? Or did I throw them all away? Maybe I did. Let's request in... I don't need 50, but just give me a couple. Oh, I do have some there. Huh. So if we have our usual 1, 2, 3, 4, whoops, up here. This is the full surround, which is what we would like to aim for. Obviously, ideally. This one can go about here, say. And you are flying robot frames. Let's see if you can take production modules. You can, very good. And if we give all of these some speed modules. What's our stats? So it's divided by 8. So 500 divided by 8 is 62. Yeah, that's not too terrible, because we won't actually need that many construction robot bots. So I think that's what we'll be doing. We'll make a module sort of based around this, but it's going to have to wait till next time. I think we've been going on long enough. Certainly fuel cells is rapidly, we're sort of 60%, maybe a bit more already, so we're going to be through fuel cells very soon. So that's probably a good reason to stop as well. So thanks for joining me. We'll build this out next episode, as well as probably get into astrometrics. See you then, guys. Thanks for joining me for this, and I look forward to seeing you in the next. Bye bye for now.